What's up guys, Woody here back with another Gwent video and today I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of a beastie one. I'm hoping to keep it as short as possible, but there's a lot to get through because today we are talking about the new starter decks that came with patch 2.2 and looking at upgrades for each starter deck. Each new faction starter deck, we're going to kind of dive into them. I'll try and give a couple of tips along the way of combos that there are available in them, but we're more going to be looking at what cards I recommend you look to upgrade with first. Now, I will just say that these aren't going to make the... Sorry about that, my door's just moving. I'm going to say we're not going to make these decks like super uber tier 1 competitive straight off the bat. I wanted to keep them relatively cheap. I wanted to keep them in terms of when you're upgrading them, you're not putting tons of 800 cost scrap cards in there, that we're making it achievable for you guys. That you guys can, within a week, maybe 10 days of playing, you can upgrade this deck to what I've recommended, and it's going to be a damn sight stronger. There's going to be a lot more synergy in the deck, and that's exactly what I want to go for. But before we dive into it, I understand if you are, so say you've been playing Gwent for about 2 months and you're still like lower ranks, you don't actually get access to the new starter decks because you'd have played too many games. It's only if you started playing Gwent in the last 3 weeks. So I know that's a very small minority of you. So I just want to quickly show you how we can get the starter decks. So what you can do, if you head over to playgwent.com, then I'm already signed into my profile up here. This is my little kind of statistic profile page. But you, if you go to playgwent.com, you can then see along the top here. If you go to decks, so sign into your account, you go to decks, then it's going to take you over to the deck page. Obviously, it's called decks. And to find these, I apologise about that noise, guys. It's next door neighbours are having some work done. Hopefully, it's not too loud. So if we go over to here, and if you type in Burza 46, okay? Now, nothing's going to come up at the moment because you see over here it says past 7 days. These decks are like 3 weeks old. So I always just go down to past year, and all of a sudden, Burza is the community manager for Gwent. He uploaded these decks here, okay? These are, you can see 3 months ago, 12 days ago, these ones here. Now, if you click on this deck, one, you can see the deck, so you can see the starter deck. But more importantly, what you can do is you can click on import to my decks. Now, if you're on PC, I know this works bang straight away. You click it, it imports it to your library. Next time you log into Gwent, so if you're already logged into Gwent, you're going to have to log back out and log back in. But the next time you log into Gwent, there it is. You'll have the the Squirtle starter deck there, ready to rock, ready to go. I don't know how this works on console. I'm going to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I don't play on console anymore. I don't know how it works. Give it a go. If it doesn't work, apologies, but at least you have access to the deck list here. Another little kind of side note, cards that are in this starter deck list here, if you've been playing Gwent for say 2-3 months, you don't get access to these cards. You're going to have to craft the cards. For example, Geralt of Rivia is now a card that everyone gets if they're new to Gwent. If you're not new to Gwent, you're going to have to craft them and put them into your deck. Yeah, so that's kind of the whole starter spiel out the way. That's how we get to the starter decks, okay? But let's actually get back to some Gwent. And I really hope that... Yeah, I'm checking now. It doesn't look like that drill's too loud, but there is a drill going on outside. I'm hoping it's not too loud for you guys. So, I have all my notes here. I've gone through the starter decks. I've played with the starter decks. And these are, like I said, not the super powerful upgrades, but are definitely upgrades that are going to make you get a lot more consistent win rate with these decks. I'm going to kick off with Northern Realms. King Foltest is the leader we get. Now, when we're looking at any deck building, we need to look at King Foltest. Boost an ally by 1 and give it Zeal. That's the most important thing here. Zeal means that any card of order can be played. It has no summoning sickness, basically. You play the card, it can do its ability straight away if you use Zeal. You have 3 charges. Now, what amazed me, this starter deck here doesn't have tons of... So this, for example, is 1 target. We have Naneki for a Zeal target. Okay? We have... Blue Stripes Commando for a Zeal target, and we have a couple of these kind of machines that for targets as well. Now, machines all rely on charges. Charges basically mean you can play cards to give them more charges, meaning they get more goes of using their ability. Unless you're building like a charge-heavy deck or decks that really synergize with charge, I would whip them out straight away because they are very hard to get going. For example, this comes out for 3 power, damage an enemy unit by 2. Without adding any charges to it, it gets its base value. That's fine, but there are so many Northern Realm cards that get more synergy using this ability of King Foltest, okay? So what we're going to do, first cards we're going to get rid of, I'm going to get rid of Siege Support because we're going to get rid of some of the charge cards. So both Siege Support are going. We're going to get rid of Siege Tower. Okay. We're going to get rid of the Ballistas, which I've just... There you go. Reinforced Ballistas. Both of those are going. And then we're going to get rid of one gold card. And we're going to get rid of Prince Stennis, because again, he plays into charges. We're going to get rid of the charges in this deck. I feel like there's another leader that's better for charges, but we're not going to go into that. What we're going to add in is we're going to add in, first and foremost, Blue Striped Scout. Blue Striped Scout is this guy here, okay? We're going to add 2 of these in because Blue Striped Scout, play on the melee row, spawn a copy of a bronze unit and place it at the bottom of your deck. That might be like, well, that's crap. Why do I want to do that? Blue Stripes Commando. Order, summon all copies of this unit from your deck to this row. So you play Blue Stripes Commando. Next turn you play Blue Stripes Scout. You use his ability on Blue Stripes Commando. Now when you click this, because you have 2 of them in your deck, you're not bringing out a card for 4 power, you're bringing out 8 power. Okay, that's a huge combo. If you have another one of these in hand, the next one that come out of the order, play it again and get another one out. All of a sudden, you've, off this card here that normally get you 8 value, you've just gained an additional 8 value using this combo here. So it's a very positive play. It's a very high tempo play. And it's, if you're running Blue Stripes Commando, people are guaranteed to be running Blue Stripes Scout. Simple as that. Okay, next card we're adding in is we're going to be adding a key combo, I feel, for not every Northern Realm deck. This is not auto include, but for what we can achieve here, especially with Trident Infantry, is we're going to be putting in Viso and Avalanche. So Avalanche, if you don't know, is a card that, play him on the ranged row, he has order, and what you can do here is he gives an allied unit immunity. Now, that sounds amazing, and it is an amazing ability. The issue with Avalanche is Avalanche normally can get removed quite easy, or locked, or ranged, or row moved, because he's got to stay on the ranged. My advice would be playing a Neki first. If the Neki gets locked, you bait the lockout. If the Neki doesn't get locked, you give them pop 2 charges onto Avalanche, keeping them at a 7, meaning if they're playing a Geralt, they can't get rid of him. Getting rid of a 7's a lot harder. The only thing they're going to do now is either row move it or lock it. And then the idea of that is we're playing Avalanche on Viso. Viso, as I've said in many videos before, is one of the stable cards of Northern Realms. This card goes untouched. If you get immunity on them, you can pretty much almost guarantee you're going to win the game. So you play him on the ranged again. Now he's a lot less power. He's only 3 power. That's why you need the immunity. Otherwise he just gets cleared 90% of the time. But every time a card is played by the opponent or you gain a charge, and his charges allow you to boost allies by 1. Link that with Trident Infantry. What I often do is if he gets the immunity and there's no way of them clearing him, I let him tick up to maybe 8 charges. If I have last say, I just boost all 8 charges onto Trident Infantry. They can't remove Trident Infantry because we had last say. And that's a 16-point play because the 8 boost Trident Infantry by 8, and then Trident Infantry pings for 8. So that's a really big positive play, okay? Now, the last card we're going to add in, I'm going to give a mention in a minute, is Vez, okay? Vez is, she kind of plays into leader ability as well, but she's also good removal. So Vez, if you don't know what Vez does, damage an enemy unit by 4. It removes a majority of engines. But then also, on order, you can give an allied unit Zeal. So let's say, for example... Oh, I've missed a card, actually. That is not what we're going to add in. There are 2 more cards you need to add in. My bad. But you can give... So, rather than using a leader ability, I could use Vez's ability to pop it onto Avalanche to then pop it straight onto someone else, okay? And there's another one that's quite good with immunity, because every allied turn, on turn end, boost adjacent units by 1 if Anna is boosted. If it's immune, they can't damage it, and she can just tick and tick and tick and tick and tick and tick and tick. Trident Infantry's next to her. That's a tick for 2, potentially 3 every single turn. It's pretty big. But the last 2 cards we're going to add, my fault, is one of my favourite Northern Realms cards, and that's Selturk. Selturk, duel an enemy unit. So, order melee, so you have to wait, but with leader ability, we boost him by 1, so he goes to 6, and you can play him straight away. If you don't know what duel is, let's say he's at 6. If they've got a 10 cost unit on their side, he will go for 6 damage, he'll go hit them, knock them down to 4. They'll do them 4 damage back. knock him down to 2 because he'll be at 6. He'll then do 2 damage back, knock down to 2, then they'll clear him. You've effectively done 8 damage, okay? I would more recommend a case of try to keep him, if he's at 6, try to damage a card that is 6. Unless it's an engine that's running at 8, then do it because you're going to lose body power on Selturk. But I would recommend popping him out at a 6. And then damaging or clearing a unit for 6. It's 12 points. It's a very, very big play. Especially with Foltest. Or if you use your Foltest charges, maybe you can use Vez's ability to get Selturk going. And the last one is one that I know pretty much everyone has. That's why I've put it in there. And it's the Cow. It's Prize Winning Cow. So if you don't know what this card does, Prize Winning Cow comes out at a 1 cost and costs 6 provisions, but order abilities transform into Chort. Chort is a 10 point card. It's +4. Now, normally you play this card, it just gets removed straight away. It's 1 cost. There's pretty much almost any damage can clear a 1 cost. But with Vez and with King Foltest, we can buff it to 2. I'd more recommend using Vez if possible on this, because if you use Foltest, you're getting the buff of 1, but then you're losing that 1 of buff, because when it transforms into Chort, it doesn't carry that buff of 1 over. It still goes into a 10 cost card. Vez is a lot better because you're saving that +1 of Foltest, and +1 can be the difference between a win and a draw. So, yeah, that's the kind of the Northern Realms upgrade. You see, we've already eaten a lot into those. We had 17 extra provisions at the beginning. We're now down to 4 extra provisions. This deck's a lot more powerful. It offers a lot more tempo. It offers a lot more synergy with Viso, with Anna, with Trident Infantries. These guys can get a lot more damage with the order abilities that are coming out. We still have a lock unit in there. These are buffing cards. These also have Zeal, so if you don't, these guys do, you can pop these guys out for order, boost an allied unit by 1 and give it Zeal. They're going to want to remove this, otherwise you still have Zeal on the board. So you have Zeal on the board, 2 Zeals on the board here, 2 Zeals on the board with Vez, and Zeal with King Foltest, meaning that Prize Winning Cow can pretty much get value almost every single time. But yeah, that's Northern Realms, guys. That's the deck that I've upgraded it to. And yeah, hopefully you find help with that. Monsters next. So I'm kind of going to rattle through these. If you're just interested in Northern Realms, please don't feel like you have to stay around for the whole video. Just watch that one and then come back another time when you want to watch Monsters upgrades, okay? And I'm sorry if I'm being super quick. I'm just trying to get through it. Otherwise, this video could be over an hour, and I don't want it to be over an hour for you guys. 40 minutes would be ideal. So we're gonna rock on. Monsters. Okay, so monsters here. They got Eredin as a leader. Boost an allied unit by 3 and give it a shield. You have 2 charges on this, so it's pretty powerful. Eredin's not in the best place. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still pretty powerful. Okay. Now, when I looked at this deck, I was like, okay, the biggest synergy here seems to be getting dominance, getting big units on the board with Spear Tick coming up at a 9. Osriel that can eat units, so it can eat stuff like a Griffin to make Osriel a 9, or it can eat Spear Tick to make Osriel a 10. We have big removal with Geralt, all this kind of stuff. We have some artifact removal. We have a little bit of Thrive going on, but nothing too big. And there were cards in here that I was like, these just don't fit in here. They just don't feel like they deserve to be in here. So, cards we are going to get rid of is we are going to get rid of both of the Wild Hunt Warriors. The reason we get rid of both of these is it's great we have all these Wild Hunt cards, but they have one range. These cards have bricked for me too many times when I don't have there's nothing I want to damage, or a card I want to damage is on the ranged row, not the melee row. So we're going to get rid of both Wild Hunt Warriors. We're not running a Wild Hunt deck, so that's fine. We're going to get rid of 1 Wild Hunt Hound and 1 Wild Hunt Navigator. And we are going to get rid of 1 Azur's Thunder. And we're also going to get rid of... Honestly, we're going to get rid of both Azur's Thunder, okay? So the cards we're going to get rid of opens up 49 provisions. We need to find 6 cards. We're going to add in both Ice Trolls. Now, the reason we're adding in both Ice Trolls are these guys are just big units. They're 7-point bronzes. Now, you might think, well, it's negative play because they're costing me 8 provisions. We get them out round 1. They are targets now for ghouls, meaning when ghouls come out, ghouls eat them. Ghouls go to 8. Okay, so they're good targets for ghouls, and they also help us keep dominance for stuff like Wild Hunt Riders and other cards that we're going to be adding in now. Okay, 7 is a big point card on the board. It can help us get the dominance that we need to make this deck work. Then we are going to be rocking up with, so we're we're going to be going to Froglets. These aren't for dominance. These are comboing for one specific reason. Froglets here, the ones that cost 1 cost, okay? The reason we're playing these Froglets is when we play the Froglet, it comes out for 1, but when it gets destroyed, it comes back for 5. We're having 2 Griffins in the deck. So Griffin, if you don't know, is an 8 cost card, pretty huge, but must destroy an allied unit on the same row. Important to remember that, okay? So we play Froglet on the melee row. Next turn we play Griffin. We eat the Froglet. Griffin comes out for an 8, doesn't destroy itself, and then Froglet comes back for a 5. In 2 plays, we have 13 points on the board. That's pretty big tempo, okay? If we had some Thrive out at the same time, then they're going to be ticking as well with the Thrive. So, yeah, we can get some big tempo with this combo here, okay, Froglets. They're a nice card, especially if we're playing Griffin. And the reason we want to play Griffin is, again, another target for both Osriel and Ghouls. If you eat a Griffin with an Osriel, you're getting your base value back. He's coming out for a 9. It's a big point play, especially with some Thrive on the board. Now, next up, we are adding a card. It's a little bit more expensive, and it does rely on dominance, but Protofleeder, I think is how you say the name. Protofleeder, if you don't know, guys, damage an enemy unit by 3. But if you have dominance, meaning you have the highest unit on the board, now that cannot be Protofleeder. They changed the way dominance works. So, if, say for example, I had an Ice Troll out at 7, they had a card for 6. We have dominance. I play Protofleeder. They do the 3 damage, but because we had the dominance, they drain the enemy for that 3 damage. Meaning that they do the 3 damage, but the 3 damage that they've done then boosts Protofleeder. Popping Protofleeder to a 7, meaning he gets his base 10 value. This can be great to, 1, try and keep dominance if they've got an engine ticking up. It can act as removal, but it also adds another bit of dominance for you. You've now boosted this to a 7, okay? Which is pretty big, okay? Now, the last card we're going to add is Imrith. Now, Imrith is, if Imrith goes untouched, unanswered, Imrith gets out of control and people hate playing against Imrith. Imrith, again, relies on dominance. So if you know what Imrith does, or Sabbath, depending on how old you are to Witchers, Order, so it is an order ability, damage an enemy unit by 1. If you have dominance, you damage an enemy unit by 2. What's crazy here is this is cooldown of 1. So you play this guy on the melee row, because he has reach of 2, meaning he can hit both rows. Every turn, you can get 2 damage off this guy. Now, I would recommend throwing leader ability onto him, because it gives him a shield. So, throwing leader ability on here puts him at an 8 and a shield. But remember, if they're running a Geralt, Geralt goes through shields. It's an instant removal. So you're going to have to try and read what they've played. If they've already played a Geralt, say round 1, and you're now in round 3, hell yeah, throw him out, throw the leader ability on him. Otherwise, he could get locked. Otherwise, he could just get removed at 5. If Imrith stays on the board and you have dominance, it's very hard for them to catch up. They'll want to be focusing all their attention on Imrith. They want to be trying to stop him from getting away with it. Over the course of, let's say you play him turn 3 in round 3, and he gets dominance at every single turn, he's getting 14 damage extra just on his own without other cards that you're playing, without your Osriel's boosting up, without your Protofleeders getting drained, or without maybe even dropping in a spear tip. So it's not the most synergized deck, but I built it more around dominance and getting Imrith out, because Imrith is good with leader ability if he stays on the board. Popping him to an 8 with shield. If they can't get rid of an 8 cost card, they don't have Geralt, we don't have Leo if they're Nilfgaard, they don't draw into that card, he can get out of control. And the shield obviously protects him. So yeah, that's pretty big, and that's the monsters deck. Okay, straight on to Squirtle. So Squirtle have Crate as their leader. So Crate is damage an enemy unit by 1, cooldown of 2. This is very much you're looking at exploiting a mechanic called Bloodthirst, meaning that Bloodthirst of 1 would mean that I'd have to have an enemy unit damaged by 1. By damage, it has to be, his number has to be red. So if they boosted it to a 7 and I damaged it and it went to a 6, but it's still green, it's still boosted. It has to be red, showing that it's damaged below its base value. So we have cards like, I always say this guy's name wrong, Sevendry, we go with that. So Bloodthirst 3, they have to have 3 damage enemy units, but he comes out for 11 because he boosts himself by 5. That's pretty huge. Bloodthirst 2, damage an enemy unit by 5. Again, it's a nice removal, okay? Bloodthirst 2, he gets Zil, so you can drop this guy and you can just damage 3 units straight away. Damage individual units, meaning that you can get more Bloodthirst. Create Longship, okay? Can damage the same enemy unit by... Sorry, whenever your opponent plays a unit, it damages that unit by 1. Every time they play a card, it's coming out Bloodthirst. This guy here. Yes, now, so people will... New players, I often go, well, this card doesn't make sense, because I play it and it's damaging myself and it's damaging them. Yes, but in a Bloodthirst deck, it's perfect, because you're damaging them. And it's cooldown of 1. Every turn, you can ping a different card and put them into the red, okay? And then we have a few other cards that we're going to kind of be looking at and getting rid of. So we want to play on that Bloodthirst, and we want to play on Squirtle can get, Skellige can get pretty crazy, and this deck doesn't need many upgrades to be very powerful, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the Elder Bears. They don't have any place in this deck. We are going to get rid of Spear Maidens, these guys down here, okay? Who damage themselves by 2 and damage an enemy unit by 2, I think it is. We're going to get rid of the Gutting Slash. So these guys here they're another Bloodthirst deck, another Bloodthirst card. It's damage an enemy unit by 4. Bloodthirst 2 damage a unit by 6 instead. But we're going to get rid of these because they don't offer much value on the board, and 6 damage sounds great. If they only play cards at a 4 cost, we're wasting value on that card. And that's what we're going to get rid of. To upgrade this deck, we are going to run a very powerful Skellige package that is in almost every deck at the moment. And that requires Protectors, so 2 Protectors, and it requires 2 Priests, Savalblog Priests. Now what we do is to discard here, every allied turn, on turn end, damage the allied unit to the right by 1 and then boost self by 2. You might think, well, I'm damaging my unit. Yes, you are, but bear with me. Because Protector, here, whenever an adjacent enemy or an adjacent unit takes damage, boost self by 1. We go back to our Longship, damage self and enemy unit by 1. So wait a minute. If I play Protector next to Longship, I'm getting the Bloodthirst I need for my bigger cards. But also, I'm losing 1 value on Longship, but I'm gaining 1 value on Protector because my adjacent unit just take damage. And now, if I have Priest next to Longship on the right-hand side, Longship's damaging for 1, and Protector's buffing, and I'm getting Bloodthirst, and then I'm having Priest eat or take 1 damage extra off Longship, and then boosting by 2, but Protector's boosting again. This is like, oh my god, okay? These engines just start ticking against Skellige, and they get out of control. If you play first, if you're on blue coin, I'd recommend throwing TA onto Longship when it gets down to about 3 value, so you can get up to an 8 again, and you just keep this combo going for an insane amount of time, okay? Other cards that we are throwing in, a pretty much auto-include for most Skellige decks, and that's Herald. So Herald, spawn 3 Herald Pals and summon them to the other allied row. So if you play Herald on the ranged row, they will spawn on the melee row. And Herald's Pals are a token card, 1 cost, but when they're damaged, when they're destroyed, they damage a random enemy unit by 2. Herald's ability is he can damage an allied unit by 1. So over 3 turns, Herald can ping these skulls, and they getting 6 damage off them, and Herald's coming out for 4. Where that goes in further is, let's say Herald gets locked, which is quite common. Just play a Priest next to the skulls. Make sure they're on the right. It will eat the skull, boosting Priest by 2, but then a random enemy will be damaged by 2. It's a 4-point tick every turn for 3 turns. Unless they lock Priest or clear Priest, there's nothing they can do about it. They might lock the skull, but that's almost a waste of a lock. So Priests can get pretty crazy if they're not dealt with, especially with Herald's Pals. And the last card is, I'm actually going to put down to personal choice. What you guys want, okay? So you can either include Olaf, this guy here. Our Olaf is order, boost Olaf by twice the amount he is damaged. So let's say, for example, we might have Harold still on the board. We can ping Olaf every turn. Now, I'd be careful not to get Olaf lower than like a 5, because then they could just remove him. What we could also do is we could ping Olaf, but we could also play a Priest next to Olaf. Meaning that Olaf, I keep saying Olaf is getting damaged every turn. Let's say he gets down to a 5. On order ability, I pop his ability. He now boosts, so he goes back to an 8, but he had 3 damage, so he boosts by an extra 3, so he goes to an 11. And I got value off Priest because he hasn't lost anything by eating away at Olaf, if that makes sense. Another card you could choose over Olaf, it's completely your choice, is Wildkarl. Wildkarl is insane. Wildkarl is a 5-point card, a 5 body card. But when they have Berserk, which means they're damaged by over half their power, so this has to have 3 damage done to it, they transform into a 12-cost bear. Now, the 12-cost bear... I'll get rid of Olaf quickly because we've got one too many cards. The 12-cost bear has an order ability, destroy an allied unit and heal self. So if you have a skull left on the board that there's no way of getting rid of it, just destroy the skull. That pops on the enemy side for 2 damage. And let's say it's got damage down to 7, it boosts back to a 12. You can't keep doing that. It's order ability. Once it's done. But yeah, you can pop a priest next to the 12, ticks away, last turn, you just order ability, re-heal. The issue with this card, why I may include Olaf over this card, is if I have no way of ticking him off. If I was playing Svalbard as a leader, this is auto include. But if Harold gets locked and my priests get cleared, I don't have any way of getting this guy down to a 2 power to then transform into a 12. So that's where you got to read it. How many locks have they played? Do I want to play this? Go for the big play because you're probably going to get more value off this than you are Olaf. With that said, Olaf going in a long round, and if they don't clear Olaf, can get more value than this guy. So it's 6 1.5 does the other. It's completely personal choice for you guys. That's Skellige done. I feel like we're making good progress here. Now let's go on to Squirtle. So Squirtle, their leader is Evangel. Now Evangel is honestly one of my favourite Squirtle leaders. He is very tricky to play. You need to know how to play him, and I will go over that at the end of this section, okay? So if we go through, Evangel is he boosts all the units in your hand by 1. Now you might think, how's that tricky to play? That's not hard to play at all. I just boost all my units. As soon as the game starts, I pop it, there you go, I'm done. Just bear with me, okay? So, what we want to do with Evangel is, obviously we have lots of cards in hand that benefit by being boosted in hand. Now, there's not, in all honesty, tons to change in this deck. It's pretty well synergized already for what we want to achieve with a Evangel deck. There are some changes to be said anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of both incendiary traps. We are going to add a trap back in. But these guys here, I don't think they're that great. Basically, when your opponent plays a card, they flip over, they damage unit by 5. Yeah, you might get lucky and clear a good card, but if you play it late on, you're losing. It's quite a shallow tempo play. They play a 2-cost card, you clear this. You're not catching up, is what I'm trying to say. If you're in the lead, potentially you're keeping the lead, but if you're behind, you're not catching up. And that's what I don't like about the incendiary traps. Unless you're playing a trap deck, I don't see them played in any other decks. So get rid of both incendiary traps. And again, Elder Bear's popped up in here. He's disguised himself as Ida for now, but it is Elder Bear. We get rid of Elder Bear. We don't need Elder Bear. It's a neutral card. It doesn't do anything, okay? And that's it. They're the only cards we're getting rid of. What we are adding in is we are adding in a trap. We're adding in Crushing Trap. Now, this trap here is very much like Lacerate. So you pop it down. When it flips over, so ambush basically, after 2 ally turns, it will tick down. After 2 ally turns, you on turn end damage all enemy units on the row with the most units, okay? Now this can link in with something like Dragoon, which when played on the melee row, move an enemy unit to the other row. So if they think this is 6 points, okay? It's only 6 provisions. So as long as they have 4 cards on that row, I'm getting 8 value off this card. If they're row stacking for a certain reason because they're playing Great Oak, if they're playing a Squirtle deck, maybe they're playing Swarm Nilfgaard and they're all stacking on the same row. This card can come out for 10, 12, sometimes 14 value if played at the right time. I will say this, and I don't know if people know this, trap cards can be removed with artifact removal. They do count as artifacts, you can see here. So if they play an artifact, it can remove it. But yeah, This card can go off for a lot of value. It's a lot better than Incendiary Trap, especially with Dragoons in your deck. So you're playing one of those. We are playing... I didn't mean to do that. We are playing a card called Sarissa. So if you don't know what Sarissa does, Sarissa, she's only 8 provisions. She comes out for free. Damage an enemy unit by 2. The idea is you kill that enemy unit, because the killing the enemy unit allows you to boost a card in your hand by 2. And we'll go through targets on that in a minute. So you might think, well, that's only 5. But she also has Harmony. So every time you play a different kind of Squirtle card, she buffs herself by 1. Almost like an engine. She kind of ticks over. So she can get really good value. Play her early in the round. Most factions have cards come out at 2 cost. Play her early in the round. Clear the card off. Then throw the in-hand boost onto a card we'll go on to in a minute. Last card... Didn't mean to do that. Last card we're playing is Gabor. Gabor is... close to auto-include in Squirtle, not completely auto-include. So Gabor, play him on the melee row, he gains resilience. Play him on the ranged row, he gains immunity. But whenever you play a dwarf, he boosts himself by 1. We have quite a few dwarfs in the deck. We have 2 here, we have 2 here, we have 1 here, we have 2 here, we have 2 here, we have 2 here. So we have quite a few dwarfs. This guy can start ticking. So if you're in round 3 and you draw him, you're going to play him on the ranged row, because resilience does nothing in round 3. If you don't know what resilience is, play this guy on the melee row. Resilience means he carries over a round. So let's say for some reason, or I won't say some reason, but let's say in round 2 they dry pass and you get to play a card for free just to win the round. You'll play Gabor on the melee row because he goes out for 5 and he carries over to round 3. So you don't actually lose card advantage if you're at a card advantage loss. Or if you're drawing in the same amount of cards in hand, you have a 5-cost card on the board already. You already have a tempoed play on the board already. So you can get really, really quite powerful by doing that. If you draw him in round 3, you're going to pop him on the ranged row because he gets immunity. If you play 4 dwarfs, he's up to 9 already. He's just going to tick every dwarf you play, along with some dwarfs that tick anyway. It's pretty powerful. So... cards you want to boost in hand. Your main card you're going to be targeting is Sheldon Skeggs. So damage an enemy unit by this unit's power. Let's say you buff this guy to a 7. He comes out, he damages a card for 7, he comes out for 7 points. That's a 14-point swing. He can get huge. I would very rarely recommend going above a 7 with this guy. Purely because unless they're playing monsters, there's not many cards that will go above a 7. You're going to probably, if you put 11 on this guy or 9 on this guy, you're going to lose value. If he comes out at a 9 and you're only damaging something for 5, you've almost lost value that you could have boosted other cards with to potentially get more value. So I'd recommend getting this guy to a 7, no higher. Unless you're playing monsters, feel free throwing up to a 9. If you can, get him to 11 if you're playing certain cards in your deck. Other targets is you're going to want Mahakam Marauders. Deploy, if this card is already boosted, it gains resilience. So you could boost this card in hand, play it round 1, and then going into round 2, he stays on the board. So you can get a lot of power with resilience cards. Or he's another card you could throw out round 2 if he's boosted. Remember that, if he's boosted. Okay? These cards are useless round 3 because resilience doesn't do anything. So just a warning. If they're in your hand round 3, I would 9 times out of 10 mulligan them. And the other card you want to boost in hand is this guy here. Mahakam Defenders. Every ally turn on turn end, boost self by 1 if this card is boosted. Now it's easy to boost this card because our leader ability is boost all units in hand by 1. So the big question is, when do you play Evangel's ability? Now, I would strongly recommend not playing it round 1. Don't just start the game and go bang, Evangel, brilliant. Okay, because yes, you'll get a full 10 points on the card. Yes, you'll boost all your cards in your hand by 1. You'll get 10 points off your leader ability, which is really big. But then chances are they're going to bleed you down. They're going to bleed you and bleed you and bleed you and bleed you and bleed you. Get you to play some of these engines out here, your resilience. Maybe they'll lose round 1, but then you only have 2 cards left in hand that are boosted. Then going into round 3, all of a sudden your engines are gone. Your boosts are gone. You've had to play a lot of the cards. Now you actually just have mediocre cards that rely on being boosted in hand, and you have no way of boosting them in hand. So what I would recommend If you are on blue with Evangel, it's very hard, as in if you're playing first. You need to try and win the round. And that can be tricky without using leader ability. Okay, I would strongly recommend against using leader ability. But you're going to play, don't be afraid to play some big cards. Don't be afraid to play Mullane out round 1. Okay, get 8 value. Don't be afraid to lock something. Don't be afraid to throw Pavko out round 1 and get the damage going, okay? Even Sarissa out round 1. You might not get the full value in Harmony, but buffing something in hand. Just try to win round 1. Definitely get these guys out if you can round 1, because they're going to thin your deck out. Win round 1, dry pass round 2. Ideally, you have 10 cards in hand, and you pop the ability, okay? Now, if you're on red coin, easy. Once they get down to... So play cards out. Once you're down to about 7 cards in hand, they're down to 6 cards in hand. Maybe you go slightly further. Maybe you go down to 6 cards in hand, down to 5 cards in hand. Pass. Okay? Yes, I will say this. Evangel is susceptible to being bled because people know his leader ability. But if you're playing the right deck, they're going to dry pass round 2. You could then throw out something like a ball to get resilience. And then you're going to get a full 10 card round 3 with leader ability, okay? Now, playing for the Evangel is all about knowing when to pop leader ability. If you're being bled round 2 and you feel like, okay, they're pushing this quite far now, you're down to 8 cards, pop leader ability. Don't let yourself get down to 5 cards and pop leader ability, because you've just lost 8 points on leader ability. If you pop leader ability with 8 cards in hand and then they pass and you take it around, okay, you've lost 2 points, but that's better than being bled out the extra 3 points. I hope that makes sense, okay? Evangel is one of the trickiest leaders to play in terms of knowing when to play their ability. If you play it well with the resilience and with the dwarf engines in deck, he can be very, very powerful. And that takes us on to our final deck, guys. Our final faction, Nilfgaard. My favourite faction, okay? So Nilfgaard deck at the moment is... Nilfgaard don't really have a set identity. They don't have a set archetype you build around. Yes, there's locks. Yes, there's assimilate. But the best Nilfgaard decks kind of take a little bit from all those archetypes and make more of a mid-range deck. So Nilfgaard. What we're going to do is we are going to just make this good deck a pretty solid mid-range deck. And I've put one combo in there because people who have been playing the game a little bit longer will know, will have access to these cards. So, what we are doing with Nilfgaard, or cards we're getting rid of Nilfgaard, is we are getting rid of the one Alzur Thunder. We're going to keep... Where's it gone? Alzur's Thunder. Alzur's Thunder. There it is. So, it's disguising itself as orcs. But we're going to get rid of one Alzur's Thunder. We are going to get rid of both Spearmen, Alba Spearmen. These cards are great in theory. The one reach has screwed me over a few times, so we're just going to get rid of Alba Spearman. We are going to get rid of, again, Elder Bear. They don't have any place being here. Get rid of the Elder Bears. And we're going to get rid of one Nilfgaardian Knight. What we're going to add in is, firstly, I can understand why this card isn't in there because it can be very powerful, but you'll notice we have Lacerate and Orcs in hand already. Lacerate is, if Orcs is in your hand, then you can damage an enemy by 5, otherwise you get free damage off him. Orcs is lock a unit, but if Lacerate's in your hand, lock all units of that, all copies of that unit on the board. Now, if we go to a card called Lefo, he's the final leg to this Witcher tripod, okay? Lefo is, if Orcs is in your hand, lock an enemy unit. If Lacerate is in your hand, damage an enemy unit by 3. If Lacerate and Orcs are both in your hand, lock an enemy unit and damage it by 3. That's insane value. If you have both Lacerate and Orcs in your hand, he's getting 9 value plus a lock on an engine, which is massive, and he's coming out for 6, which is a pretty big card, okay? He is straight away. If you've got these 2 cards in your hand, in your deck, Lefo goes in straight away, guys. No questions about it. Now, getting rid of the Spearman, we're going to add in a little engine for us. I'll explain why. Called Magni Division. Now, this card here, every turn, on turn end, boost yourself by 1 if this is the only card on this road. That's important, okay? Try not to let this card get above a 7 because it will just get removed 9 times out of 10. It can get reset, but the reason this is good is it ticks every single turn. It gives you some tempo every single turn. It can bait out lock in mirror matches against Nilfgaard, which is really important against some of your bigger cards you don't want locked. And if it doesn't get locked, or if you're playing monsters round 3, sometimes this goes unanswered. And it can end up getting up to 9, 10, 11 value, which is huge, like on a card that costs 4 provisions. So I would put these in your deck because you're almost guaranteed to get value off them, or bait out a removal, or bait out a lock at the very worst. Then we're going to go to Lacerate, one of my favourite cards. This card is so underrated, guys. I'm not even kidding. This card, 9 times out of 10, it gets value. The only reason I'm playing one of them is when I play 2, I feel like I draw into it too often. Now, Lacerate is good on its own. Damage all enemy units on a row by 2, much like Crushing Trap, but it doesn't have a tick down to activate. It just goes off straight away. Now, it's 1 more expensive than Crushing Trap because it doesn't have to tick. 4 cards on the row, you're getting value off it. You're getting 1 extra value off it. I've had times when this card has come out for 16 value. They've had 8 cards in a row, especially when they're playing Swarm Nilfgaard, and it just goes bang. 16 value on this card that costs 7 provisions is bonkers, is insane. What's even nicer in this deck is we have Albert Pikeman, which you play on the melee row. Every ally turn, on turn end, damage a random enemy unit on the melee row by 1. So you put this guy out on the melee row. He doesn't get locked. He doesn't get removed. They're going to avoid playing stuff on the melee row. So they're going to row stack the ranged row. They get 5 units on the ranged row. Don't be afraid to throw a Lacerate out for 10 points. That's pretty huge. Like, that's pretty damn huge. 10 points on the Lacerate is a nice play. And it works well with Albert Pikeman. And next card we're going to add in, or the next 2 cards we're going to add in, are a combo. I fluctuate between several combos. There's several combos you can go for with Nilfgaard, but anyone who's been playing the game a couple of months will have one of these cards and probably doesn't get any value off it, so we're going to throw it into this deck. And that is the Asaya Roach combo. So we're going to play Asaya, and we're going to put Roach in the deck. Now you might be thinking, why am I playing these cards? Roach, if you don't know, is a card that whenever you play a gold card, summon this unit from your deck to a random allied row. It's nice, it gives you tempo, okay? So let's play Swears. I steal one of their cards for free. That's a 6-point play already. And then Roach comes out, that's a 9-point play. It's quite big tempo straight off the bat. Now Roach costs 10 provisions, that's a lot of provisions. It does thin your deck out, which is nice, so you can got more chance of finding other cards, especially along with Imperial Brigade. But what happens then is, round 3, I play a Sire on the ranged row and shuffle a card from my graveyard back into my deck. I put Roach back in my deck, but because I've just played a gold card in a Sire, Roach that's just been moved to my deck comes back out. So this combo comes out for 9. Again, you might go, well, is that great provisions? Roach costs 10. A Sire is getting only 1 extra value on it. In theory, no. Provision cost base wise, no. But it is good tempo. It's 9 points on the board. I've even used that sometimes in round 2 to play it straight off the bat, like Albert Pikeman straight away, force him to play on the range row, then played this, and all of a sudden, on 2 turns, I have 13 points on the board with an engine that can potentially tick for 1 every turn if they play on the melee row, and I've managed to bleed people out with that play. So, it's not the best combo, but I'll put it in there for new players to try it out and see how it goes. The reason it's not the best combo is Roach can disappear quite easily now. Now, if they just damage Roach, they clear Roach round 1, and you have a Sire in hand, you can just play the combo round 1. If they play like a Regis Bloodlust on there, then Roach gets banished. He doesn't go to the graveyard, he's gone for good. Maybe they play a Swears in a mirror match and they steal your Roach. All of a sudden, you can't play the combo. If that happens and you're getting pushed in round 1, then I would recommend maybe playing a Sire round 1 if needed. If you have, like, say, Swears got cleared and he's in your graveyard, maybe Leffer got cleared, maybe a big card got cleared. Just play a Sire on the range row and put one of those cards, put like a Swears back in. You have a chance of potentially drawing back into that card and getting a double play on Swears, which is actually more value than Roach. If they clear Roach and on round 2 you just need to play a card, then I'd recommend throwing out a Sire and, again, putting a gold card back in your deck. Who knows, you might get lucky on a mulligan, you might end up drawing back into it. It's better than anything else. There are the odd occasion where you might want to put a card back from the opponent's graveyard into their deck to stop them from playing it from the graveyard, but that's on the very odd occasion now. That used to be a lot, but that's very rare now. And that's it, guys. Oh my god, I need a drink. Okay, I've kind of rattled through everything there. There's not been any gameplay. I know it's been quite a dry video, but hopefully it's been helpful. And I'm not trying to be needy now, but please let me know in the comments below if this has been helpful, because I've been working on these cards, these decks for a little while. You can see my notes here. I've been trying to think about how I can make them synergize best for you guys, keeping them cheap on the upgrades, but making them competitive. I haven't played all the upgraded decks. I've played Nilfgaard upgraded deck, I've played Squirtle upgraded deck, and I've played Northern Realms upgraded deck. And I'm playing them at rank 5, and they've done fine at rank 5. They won about as many as they lost. So if you guys are lower ranks and you get learned playing them, they should be pretty damn powerful. But yeah, if you did like the video, guys, then give it a little like. And also, like I said, let me know in the comments below if you did like this video, because in the future, I'd like to do more stuff like this. I'd like to do kind of deck upgrades and all that, but I do understand going through all factions at once is a lengthy video. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and also let me know in the comments below if there's anything in this new Gwent series that you would like to see. Have you been playing Gwent for a couple of weeks and you're like, I'm really struggling with this, I don't understand this, I want to play, maybe you've got a leader that you really like the look of, but you want to play a deck with it, I can do a tips video on that leader, I can do a tip video on a deck building with that leader. I'm happy to do stuff. I have ideas for new to Gwent videos, they're not drying up anytime soon, but I want community feedback and I want to help you guys out as much as possible, get into this absolutely brilliant CCG game. But anyway, that is going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're still here, thank you for sticking around on the long one. I need to get a drink now, but as always, guys, have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is where you are, and I can't wait to do another Gwent video for you guys, and until next time, goodbye.